It's time to start your morning by taking 5. Here's your host, Matt McMaster.
You're listening to Take 5, a quick 5-minute take on the biggest things happening in Nebraska sports. I am your host, Matt McMaster, and today we are talking about what I think is Matt Rhule's best decision since he has been the head coach of Nebraska football, and that is keeping Donovan Rhule as his offensive line coach. When Matt Rhule came in to be the head coach of Nebraska football, immediately throughout the program, it was very well known, hey, Matt Rhule is going to bring in his own guys, right? He's got his dudes that he's been working with, whether it be from Temple, whether it be from Baylor, whether it be from Carolina. And it was one of those deals where Matt Rhule had been a coach long enough where he had, built up a repertoire of coaches that he has had really good experiences with, coaches that he could coach with, coaches that could build his culture and whatnot. And so immediately from the get-go, it was made pretty clear, hey, house is probably going to be cleared, and Matt Rhule is going to make sure that the people that he's comfortable with, that he knows that they know his standards, are the ones who are going to be in the building. And when Donovan Rhule was kept to be the offensive line coach, I think there was a little bit of a shock factor for it, because up until that point, the Nebraska offensive line was not all that great. It's not as if Donovan Rhule was a offensive line coach that was highly heralded, that had a room for a very long time, that had produced high-level offensive line rooms. Hell, he was coming off of a year of being the coach of the offensive line of Nebraska, which was the weakness of that team in 2022. And so when he was kept around, it was met with some backlash. But I remember being at a Nebraska press conference and Matt Rhule talking about the process of keeping Donovan Rhule and why he continued to be on his staff, despite the fact that no one else from the previous staff had gotten a job to continue to coach with Matt Rhule. And he had brought up this interesting quote where, I'm paraphrasing a little bit. It's not completely right, but it's like you go in and you meet a coach like that and you're kind of looking for reasons not to like him. And then you start talking to him and you realize, wow, we connect on everything and we believe in very similar things. And where that all comes from is the fact that they both believe in the blocking system and teachings of Harry Hiestand, who is one of the greatest offensive line coaches of all time, was a long-time offensive line coach for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And so that was the connection they made. And Matt Rhule, knowing Donovan Rhule's base, Matt Rhule knowing who taught him, Matt Rhule understanding that system, took a chance. And despite the fact that he probably knew that he would get a lot of pushback on keeping Donovan Rhule after the offensive line had a pretty poor year, maybe wouldn't get the most fanfare, he did it. And on top of that, let's be real too, Donovan Rhule, having him on the staff, most definitely was a big part in getting Dylan Rhule on the team, the quarterback, the 5-score quarterback, the future, the key piece, the pillar of the future success this program wishes to have. And so now we enter year 4. And it's not just that, hey, yeah, Donovan's presence helped Nebraska get their future quarterback, but you look across this offense, you look across this entire team, the offensive line is one of the strongest units. You can make the argument when you talk about returning talent, returning production, and depth, that the offensive line is the best unit on Nebraska. And I think a lot of people, you can say what you want about the reasons why Donovan Rhule might have been kept. He has performed. He has done his job. He has coached these guys that has elevated their talent. And not only has he taken guys who maybe weren't all that great when he first got there and made them better, Justin Evans, Bryce Benhart, even Teddy Prohaska, pre-injuries, took some big jumps. He's also taken some young guys and helped them develop into key pieces on this offensive line. Gunnar Gatula is a great example of a guy who maybe not a lot of people thought it would have been a good year for him if he were to play last season, and yet he stepped in to a really big spot when they needed him the most and held his own, and now he's battling for one of those tackle positions. And so I think that the offensive line being a strength of the team is a direct result of not only Donovan Raiola and how good of a coach he is, but also Matt Rhule and his belief in that system and his belief in that coach, and the fact that he walked in and he was able to interview a guy who was coming from a previous staff and recognized, hey, this guy can make a big impact for us, not only in recruiting, but also in developing the players and developing the offensive line to be a strength of this team is going to be big for us. And so I think Matt Rhule's one of the best decisions that he's made as the head coach of Nebraska is keeping Donnie Raiola on. And I think that offensive line, with the culture that they've built, the brotherhood that they had, the fact that they are really bought in to not only the coach but one another, it is going to be a massive momentum builder, massive momentum booster for this team as they play throughout the year. So kudos to Matt Rhule. Kudos to Donovan Raiola. That's been Take 5, and I've been Matt McMaster.